Good morning, everyone. I'd love to thank everyone for who's taken the time to come and participate in today's webinar. I want to thank Greater Alliance Federal Credit Union for the opportunity to give its members some value and some guidance in the home purchase process. I know that many of you may not be familiar with many steps involved in the real estate and mortgage world, but you hope that you find someone that can assist you through the process, both on the mortgage side and also on the real estate side. By no means do I feel or I know that you won't be real estate experts after this webinar, but know that this is just a template for you to have some pointers. Some of you will get some value as opposed to others, but I'll be available for any email questions after the webinar is over. If you ever have any doubts or concerns when it comes to real estate. So obviously the home buying process, there's a million steps involved and many things that happen on the back end. I don't want to overwhelm you with information, but just give you a nice overview of the process and some things you should be looking for. So this is pretty much the guideline we're going to follow today. Some information about myself, what you're looking for in a realtor, how to understand what your family's needs and preferences are, go over a few different property types, what you can do to help in the search for that perfect home. In the current market conditions, because there's a shortage of inventory, many homes receive multiple offers. So some tips on how to win on a multiple offer situation. And also, managing the transaction process from beginning to end and how to manage expectations and avoid any issues or headaches, right? At the end, we're going to open up for questions. Like I said, we'll answer some questions here. Because we're limited with time, I'll have my contact information. Feel free to call, email, or visit our website for any additional information. Information about myself, I've been licensed for 16 years. Out of 1.4 million realtors in the US, I was ranked top 1.5% by Real Trends in 2020. We are the top Latino team in New Jersey by the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. All this obviously comes due to big effort, obviously, and building as many relationships as possible. Because like it says there, I do something that I love. I come in every day, it doesn't feel like work. Anything that I can do to help a buyer or seller, I take a lot of pride in doing so. And I think that's important in any career. When you found somebody that's really passionate about what they do, they get to, an opportunity to help others, at the same time have fun. So when you're looking for a realtor, obviously when you walk into an open house or call a real estate office, you really don't know who you're going to get on the other side. It's going to be very hard for you to find everything on this list. And there's obviously other great qualities that realtors have, but don't be afraid to go through an interview process. So you meet a realtor at an open house, that doesn't mean that you're tied to that person. You can give them an opportunity to say what they have to say, what's their value proposition, and then you determine, is this the person I want to work with? Do I feel comfortable with them? Do they have the knowledge needed? Do they have the experience needed? And like I said, there's a lot of good points here to look for. You're not going to get everything, but if you make the most of the circumstances, obviously, I feel you're going to be in a good position. Somebody obviously with trust and ethics, where the client's interest is number one priority, okay? Not convenience for them or compensation, right? Somebody that's hardworking, that's willing to put the time, that's not looking for an easy way, that's not expecting you to buy that first house they showed you, right? Because then they definitely need to take time to internalize your preferences and be able to find you the right property, not just any home to make a sale. Organized, because everybody's schedules are crazy, right? So we need somebody that is organized enough to not drop the ball and forget about a client or not get back to somebody else. A good listener, like I said before, internalize your preferences. The first time we take buyers out, it's more to get familiarized with their preferences. So yes, you didn't like that about the home, but point it out. okay, because we're taking mental notes and internalizing exactly what you like and dislike about a home. So the next time we're doing a search, it's something that we can go back and reference, okay? Experience matters because not only when taking it to see the property, you get to an idea, they can uncover a home's hidden potential. They know about, mechanicals in a home, about any potential structural issues. They know what mold and asbestos looks like. So the more they've done this, obviously, the more opportunity they have to learn about homes and the process. So they're going to be a better guide. Another big part of experience is negotiations, right? So when you do find that home, how does their experience put you at an advantage because of their negotiation skills and communication skills? Support, you're going to meet agents that work as individuals. You're going to meet agents that work as part of a team. It's just different layers of support. So if they're an individual, they're supported by their brokerage and obviously management and any admins within the office. That is important in grooming and developing that realtor. Often they don't have tools, resources available to them. So maybe they're not familiar with certain things that I'm going to mention today. And it's not their fault. It's just that they've never been introduced to that. So support is so important. I have a real estate team, so I have a group of agents that work under me, and obviously they go by and all the training that I pay for them to improve their skill. Prior success, just like you're going to check out a restaurant, make sure that you read those reviews. You meet an agent, Google their name, see what comes up. Always remember your family's interest is number one, and you want to work with somebody that matches as many of these criteria as possible. And if they're not doing the right thing, it's going to get out there. So make sure that you check those reviews and see what other clients have to say about them and their work ethic, okay? So understanding your family's needs and preferences. There's a lot of factors you have to look at when looking for homes. Location is important. There's that one term in real estate, location, location, location. You can have the same home in different neighborhoods, different price, right? So what location is ideal? Maybe top 2, top 3 towns. Location has to do with obviously a commute into work, certain schools, transportation, lifestyle, certain things that are big factors or important for you, you should definitely be considering. The home size obviously has a big is a big factor here, and depending on your qualifications, we can narrow it down to which options do we have where we check the most boxes. Just like you won't find a perfect realtor, you're also never going to find a perfect home unless you had an unlimited budget and we're willing to build. But if you write down, obviously what's most important in order, and you try to check off as many boxes as you can. Obviously the home size, the school, transportation is ideal. Maybe you're not getting those couple lifestyle factors that you wanted, but you got the 3 things that matter the most. So I think understanding your family's needs and definitely prioritizing the list is going to help you find that home. If you want everything, you're not going to be happy because you're never going to find it. So make sure you understand that from the beginning is, what are my priorities? What are the things that in the home that can be worked on? Maybe, the kitchen isn't open concept, but it has all the other factors. How can we potentially look for that upgrade in the future? Maybe not get it right now, maybe get it in the next year or 2 if you plan for it financially, right? So different property types, a big factor in what property type you choose is lifestyle. What kind of lifestyle do you want to have? And the second big factor is your mortgage approval. Okay, so in order to qualify for certain properties, there's big factors. Okay, for instance, a single family home. You have your privacy, you have your backyard, you have no neighbor above you or below you or to the sides if you're in a condo or a townhouse. But then your housing expense is higher, which means you have no rental income coming in from a second unit, okay? So single family, you have the option if you're in the financial position to afford it and you want that lifestyle, right? With multifamily, if you think about it as an investment, now you have a renter covering a big portion of your mortgage payment. The lender can also use the rental income for the property to help you qualify for more money. So now instead of having, say, a $400,000 one family, you have a $525,000 investment, two family, with a tenant covering a big portion of the rent. But again, you have to be okay with the lifestyle. The kids are running upstairs, there's furniture being dragged. Are you okay with being a landlord? Are you okay with maintaining the property, knowing that there's two tenants there? Parking situations, laundry, it can get hairy, right? So same thing, lifestyle. Are you okay with it? Are you in a financial position to be able to afford one? Condominium, same thing. It's a group of units that are together, and they pay a condo due to an association, which takes care of the common area. Okay, so now you have a pool that's shared. You have common area maintenance. Sometimes utilities are included in the homeowners association dues. Sometimes you pay for utilities separate, but in the condominium, you own the actual unit. Then you go to a cooperative, which is similar to a condominium. The difference is you don't own the unit itself. You own shares in a corporation, in a nonprofit organization. Now, the advantage to a cooperative is usually the prices are a little bit lower, so they're a little bit more affordable. And the cooperative board has to approve any buyers that want to purchase. So the homeowners get to choose their neighbors. So that's probably the biggest advantage in buying a co-op, is that any new buyer that comes in would have to be board approved. In a condominium, anybody can buy the condominium as long as they qualify. There's no board approval for that. As long as they pay their dues to the association, nobody else cares, okay? Now, search. So you're working with an agent. You've identified the top areas you want to be in. You have identified the property type. Okay, definitely want to buy one family. That's what's in the best interest of our family. Most agents, most realtors you work with have access to a multiple listing service. So multiple listing service is unique to each area that you're searching in. So if you're looking in Middlesex County, there's going to be a Central Jersey multiple listing service. Some areas have two. Agent may have a membership for Flex MLS, which covers also part of the Jersey Shore. Then you have Garden State MLS covering a lot of Union County, Passaic County. You go into Bergen County, the dominant MLS is New Jersey MLS. So as a buyer, you don't know what MLS to look in because you don't know where realtors are putting their inventory. So you start with multiple listing service, but all those properties feed through a system called IDX into all the public sites. So now you have Zillow, Realtor.com, Trulia, they all show properties from almost multiple listing services. As long as the agent didn't check off that box where they didn't want it shared, most of the time it's there, but not always. Something that's very important, and most agents don't have this, is their own site. Now, when you create a website, you're able to link all the multiple listing service to it, to that website. The problem that most agents encounter is that it's very costly to add multiple systems. So my website has access to Flex, Central Jersey, Garden State, Hudson, New Jersey, all together, and I pay for it because I need my resources to have, my team to have those resources. If the agent website is only feeding off of New Jersey MLS, you're not going to see properties from the other multiple listing services. Now, the reason that's a problem is because the realtor entering the listing in the system has to be a member of the MLS in order for him to be able to post it. So if you have an agent that's working on a neighboring town, right on the border of dominant MLSs, and he posted on his home MLS, the home he's posting may belong in a different MLS, but because he's not a member, all those buyers have no access. So be conscious. What's the MLS that's dominant in my area? You definitely want to search in that site, but you don't want to limit it to that. If there's other MLSs that are being used, you want to make sure that you check those individually, or ask your agent if his website is feeding from multiple MLSs, okay? Off-market opportunity is something we work on a lot. Off-market is when the home is not listed. So how do we come by these? An agent that has a local farm in the area that you're looking is usually mailing it. So I may have a list of 15 sellers that are getting ready for market. They're not ready, pictures aren't taken. Sometimes they prefer a quicker sale. Maybe they don't want to prepare. Maybe they don't want all these strangers in their home, right? There's very unique circumstances where we may be able to introduce you to a home that's not listed, okay? And obviously the seller has the option of allowing us to show it if it's in their best interest. If not, then they'll list the property and introduce it to everyone else looking. For sale by owner is something we help our buyers with. Just because you saw a for sale by owner doesn't mean you have to go direct to the owner. If you're working with, if you have a relationship with a realtor, their job is to protect your interest, okay? So say you meet a for sale by owner and his price is 100,000 over value, his asking price. How would you know as a consumer? So if you go in with a professional, they're going to be able to assess the home, maybe show its hidden potential beyond what the owner was able to explain, show you the true value, and more importantly, you're not having that conversation directly with the owner where he's getting a read on it and determining, well, this lady really likes this house, I'm going to make her overpay. You're open to the seller. They're going to do everything in their best interest to make as much money as possible. So for sale by owners are great. I sell a ton of them, but you definitely want a professional with you when you're viewing the home for the first time, and also handle negotiations, okay? Make sure you're not overpaying for the property. Make sure that you're uncovering any issues, and make sure that you have the guidance through the whole process to protect your interests, okay? Foreclosures are always available. They're homes that the bank has taken over title and they want to sell. There's different ways of accessing foreclosures. Most of them now are going into the multiple listing service. They have an agent that's managing the property, and they put them in all the multiple listing services, open to the full market. Sometimes you'll access a website, which is an auction style for a foreclosed home. And there's different ways of accessing foreclosures. We can introduce you to that also. Short sales is typically a regular sale. The homeowner wants to sell his home, but the value is below what they owe on the mortgage. So when we receive an offer, on our team, we have a short sale coordinator. We receive an offer, we submit a package to the lender for approval. The only difference between a traditional sale and a short sale, that the sale has to be approved by the bank, and they have to crunch their numbers and make sure that it makes financial sense for them to sell. If not, obviously, then they try to foreclose and sell a home retail later on, okay? A disadvantage of short sale is just the wait. Because it's subject to approval, usually it takes a lot longer. But if you're not in a rush, if you don't have to be out of your apartment by next month, then a short sale may be a good option. So now, you've found a home you love, and guess what? There's 15 offers. That's a problem. So what do listing agents look at? I'm a listing agent myself. I carry usually between 20 and 30 listings at a time. What do I look at when a buyer submits an offer, okay? What makes it stronger? And many people have the misconception that it's just price. Oh, well, my offer was higher, right? Why didn't they choose me? It's not about money most of the time. It's about security. It's about confidence in the transaction, knowing that it's going to get to the closing. So many things that I look at is financials, okay? Who's the lender, right? And having that conversation with the lender as to how strong is the mortgage application. That's an important process, okay? How much money is that buyer committing as a down payment, right? Is it minimum 3.5% down? Is it 5%? Is it 10%? Is it 20%? Is it cash, right? So the reason more money as a down payment looks better to the seller is because it shows financial strength. If there's no mortgage, then there's no mortgage contingency. So that's hard to compete with. But Mortgage contingency means they don't need a mortgage. So no appraisal, no application, none of that. It's just straight cash. So we look at price, we look at financials, how strong is that application, how strong is their deposit. But another thing that matters is who you're working with, right? So that professional that you hired to help you in the process, can they show that listing agent and give them confidence in their ability to get us to the closing table? Because as a listing agent, I want to know that I'm working with somebody that knows what they're doing, right? That's going to make sure that they schedule inspections on time, make sure that that mortgage application is in without us having to babysit them. So who you work with in that sense as a listing agent matters, right? Because you want to work with a rock star on the other side. Relationships, obviously, when you do more volume, you get to meet more people. So if that agent you're working with has good work ethic and they've been in business and they don't have that tarnished reputation because maybe they did something wrong over here or unethical, then you're going to have a good chance of having that level of confidence with the listing agent. Prior success matters. We mentioned this before. What's their track record? How skilled are they in the process of negotiation? And obviously support. If it's a newer agent, that's okay. But do they have somebody on the back end they can access for any questions and support that's willing to jump in at any time to assist? Okay. Communication is key. Obviously, making that phone call to the listing agent and showing them that this buyer and working with this realtor is in the best interest of the seller, because that's all they care about is what's in their best interest, what's going to make the process easier for the seller. They're not thinking about the buyer end, right? So we have, I see some questions here, but we're going to answer all these questions at the end so I don't lose my train of thought, okay? Next, we have managing the transaction. Obviously, I mentioned at the beginning, there's 1,000 moving pieces. When we find a home, there's a contract that's written and you go into something called attorney review. Both attorneys review the contract, make sure there's nothing in there that's a negative impact to their client. Sometimes they'll change a closing date, they'll change a deposit amount, usually minor stuff because the contract we use is standard form and all attorneys are familiar with it. Once you have an accepted offer, you schedule your home inspections, and typically you want to submit a mortgage application. All lenders are backed up at this time. You know, everybody's busy. Title companies are busy. So the sooner you start working on conditions and a mortgage application, the better. As part of the mortgage process, there's many steps you can speak to, you know, with your loan officer when it comes to the application itself, appraisal, any conditions that you have to submit to them. You're always protected in a contract. Even if you have a big deposit, you're always protected by two major contingencies. One is mortgage. So if for whatever reason you're not able to secure a mortgage on the home, you're able to back out of the home without penalty, okay? There's multiple phases of a mortgage contingency. So say you're putting minimum down and the appraisal, the home valuation came in lower than the amount you offered. The bank will deny your loan because of the appraiser. So there's multiple levels where the mortgage contingency will protect your interest in case something were to happen. And God forbid you were furloughed, or, you know, there's issues with the appraisal, or, you know, you lost your job. I mean, things happen, right? So your deposit is protected. The other level of protection is your home inspection. Okay, so you take a look at the property, but when the inspector went in that crawl space, he saw that there was a big structural issue. You know, the main beam in the home is sagging. You know, obviously we want to look for a way to remedy this. If the owner is willing, this beam needs to be replaced. This has to be reinforced. The decking is not adequate. You know, the support beams. Sometimes it's minor. And remember, if you're buying a home that's 100 years old, you can't expect everything to be new. So some things are minor, electrical, plumbing. You're really looking for major defects to be able to cancel transaction. You're not going to cancel over something minor that you can fix. Sometimes it's an upgrade. So you have to understand the difference. You know, oh, the windows aren't new. Well, yeah, it's not new construction, right? A couple windows, as long as they're serving their purpose, as long as the furnace is functional, as long as the AC is working, which it isn't in my office, that's why I'm a little sunny. But as long as the mechanicals are working, you can't ask for new because you're not buying a new home. Okay. If the home was new, how would that affect the price? How would that affect the affordability? Maybe you couldn't buy the house if it was brand new, same square footage, right? So at this time, I know I covered a lot of ground, and I know there's a lot of questions, but I'm here for you. Even after this webinar, if you have any questions, you can visit our website. There's a lot of good information there. You can start a home search. It links to all the multiple listing services. You also have our office phone number there and my email. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Now I'm going to start reading some of these questions. Let me see what we have here. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, so the first question I have is, does the realtor have to be from the particular location that you are looking for? That's a great question. So in essence, you want somebody that's familiar with the area. They don't have to be from the area because, you know, me as an example, I cover, you know, Central Jersey and North Jersey, and I'm familiar with a lot of towns. But if I have another agent that's an expert in a specific area, then you want to definitely work with somebody that knows the area. There's many realtors out there very knowledgeable in every area that you're looking at. So remember what I mentioned at the beginning, that interview process. You know, if they're working an open house in that area, typically they're from the area, they're familiar. But don't be afraid to ask questions. Listen, give them an opportunity, right? Don't tell me you don't need any help. Let them, give them the correct phone number, give them your correct email, and see what happens. Is this person following up? Are they giving you information about the town that maybe even you didn't know about? You know, parks, schools, transportation, you know, anything that's coming to town, like any type of redevelopment. This is something that you'll learn as you're communicating with this person. And don't be afraid to have a conversation with a different realtor and pick which one you feel the most comfortable with, you know, because ultimately this is a big process and a big transaction. You can't leave it to chance. Don't feel bad about hurting somebody else's feelings. Do what's in the best interest of your family. And if you feel somebody has more knowledge in that area that you're looking, definitely use them. Second question we have here is, how do you see the track record for the listing agent? How do you see the track record for the listing agent? I'm not sure if I understand that question. So I'll ask if you can rephrase that or clarify a little bit. I'm going to go to the next question. Do you recommend going with co-op over condo if you are a first-time buyer? That's a good question. Co-ops and condos are going to be very similar. So square footage obviously is going to vary in either unit depending on which one you're buying. The biggest factor with co-op and condo is your lender. You have to check and see if your lender is even able or willing to do financing for co-ops. Usually financing for co-ops is a little bit harder to find because there's more factors where factors of risk. But there's if you qualify for a condo or co-op, I think you're in a good position. The main difference is knowing that your application is subject to the board approval in a co-op. And then the same applies when you're going to sell. When you go to sell your unit, that same buyer has to be approved by the board. It's another layer of the process, right? Where that's avoided in a condo. You don't have to go through the approval process. Maybe that gives you a little bit bigger, a larger buyer pool, right? Because now when you go to sell, you're not limited to the few people that are okay with a co-op. You're reaching everyone. And typically a buyer for a co-op is okay with a condo, but then it doesn't work the other way around. They'll buy a condo, but not a co-op because of that extra layer of the process, right? If that doesn't answer your question, please ask or ask it again. What would be the reason your application is denied for a co-op? Right, so I discussed that a little while ago, is the approval process. So one is the lender. Are they willing to do the financing based on the questionnaire, answers they get back from the co-op or condo association. And then if you fail that interview process, that selection process. Can you use a co-op as an investment property? To my knowledge, the co-op can be purchased as an investment. It's just there's a difference in the down payment requirement, and also you have to go by the governing laws at the co-op or condo, where they only allow a certain percentage of units to be rented. So you definitely want to get information on the co-op or condo as to if rentals are allowed, and also get the information from the lender as to how much money do I need as a down payment for an investment property, and how if I qualify. Let me see this here. Are short sales listed on the website, and will it say it's a short sale? The question to that, to both those questions, is yes. So when I take a short sale listing, it goes in the system just like every other listing. We prepare the home as best we can. We do photographs, we do virtual tours, and start promoting the home to get the traffic that we want. The only difference is it's subject to lender approval, and all listings say that in the comments. So you'll know that it's a short sale. Why do we put it out there? If you can't wait, 4 months for a lender approval, then it's not the property you should even be looking at, right? Do we have to pay cash for the short sale? No. So the sale process is the same as a regular sale. You can get a mortgage, you do your deposits, you do your home inspection, you do your appraisal. Everything's the same. The only difference is that you need that approval from the lender. You need the lender to approve the sales price, okay? Everything else on the back end is standard. Title work and all that, there's really no big difference. Track record in terms of what is their past record if people are happy with them. Track record in terms of what is their past record. Yeah, so when I mentioned an agent's track record, is definitely do a little research on them. Try to get an idea of who you're working with. And like I said, just like you're checking out a restaurant in town, read the reviews and see if you see more positive than negative. You may find a negative here and there, but as long as it's not something dominant, then you know what the overall experience is. Sometimes you have certain circumstances that are out of your control, and we're creatures of emotion, not logic. So if something happens with a deal, you're upset, maybe some people want to start blaming others for what happens, but there's definitely I've seen negative reviews where the agent did nothing wrong. It was out of their control, but they got the review because they needed somebody to vent on. So look at general reviews. Don't just let one review make your decision. And definitely have that conversation with the agent. Give them the information they're asking, their phone number, their email. Yes, it's going to involve some communication, but if you're serious about finding a home and you're serious about working with the right person, you definitely want to have those interactions, right? One thing I just realized, and you can all make a note of this, the phone number on the presentation is actually wrong. It's 594-4305. So once again, 973-594-4305, not 5303. Not sure where I got that. Any other questions? And as you can see, I'm sweating here because my AC isn't working. Of course, just my zone, not the rest of the office. Any other questions? Remember, something may come up, you're maybe in the pre-approval process, you may have some questions in the future. You have my email. That's probably the best way to reach me, because if I'm with a customer, I don't pick up out of courtesy, but you shoot me an email, and as soon as I'm back by a computer, I'm answering you, okay? So if nobody else has any other questions, we're gonna end the webinar now. I wish you all the best in the home search. Definitely talk to your lender about getting pre-approved. You wanna look for the home of your dreams, but you also wanna make sure that you qualify. That's the last thing you want is, finding the property and then not being able to get a mortgage. So speak to your lender about options. Have them guide you. Usually they have a relationship with a realtor that they know and trust if you don't have one yourself. And if you don't, just go out there and have some fun. Go visit some open houses now that they're back on because of COVID, and schedule some appointments with agents. Let them show your property, get a feel for them. Who do you feel the most comfortable with? And don't be afraid of, letting someone go and hiring the agent that is really helping you to the best of their ability and is making you as comfortable as possible, because that same interaction and process in the beginning is usually how it goes all the way to the end. If you're dealing with the right person, you'll know it from the beginning, and in the process, you'll see that everything is a lot easier, okay? Appreciate all of your time. Once again, thank you to Greater Alliance Federal Credit Union for the opportunity. I'm here to help if anyone needs, okay? Thanks so much.